diving into, I just wanted you to imagine right now if you go to a new place and you don't have a map, you don't have GPS or anyone to guide you through. It's possible that you will move around, yeah, but it's also possible that you will go in circles, you would waste a lot of time and maybe even give up, you get? And that's what life is like without goals. So look at goals as a GPS, for your career and also your personal growth. They give us directions, they give us focus, they give us motivation, and a way to measure our success as we move through life. So, by the end of today, we should be able to understand what goal development or setting means and why it is very important for each one of us at a very personal or individual level. Distinguish between short term, medium term, and long term goals. Also, apply the SMART goals framework to personal and career development, and then map out a clear career path aligned with your skills, values, and aspirations, and then identify some tools and strategies to stay on track with the goals and career plans that you would be setting for yourself. So, those are our objectives for today's session, and here we are at. So when we talk about goal setting or goal development, we are basically, it's not just about wishing, it's about deciding, it's about planning, and it's about acting. You get. For instance, if you say, I just want a job, you get. If you could say something, I want a job, it's like you are wishing it, you get. But if you say, I want to become a project officer in an NGO in the next 2 years by gaining relevant experience through internship and all that. You are trying to stay relevant or state a goal. You get. So development, the goal development is a process by which you identify what you want to achieve and create a clear plan of actions that you will take for you to get there. So it's not just about saying what you want there, but how, defining how you intend to get there to achieve that particular goal. You get. So why it matters is that when you set your goals, it provides you with direction. They act like your compass, that this is where I want to be. You get. So it gives you that direction. And goal setting also builds focus. It helps you prioritize what matters most. So we know that there is a lot going on. Yeah. So by setting goals, you remind yourself on what is important for you, and you put now your effort towards what is important, thereby ensuring that you remain focused and achieve the goals that you've set out to achieve. Goal setting also enables you to measure or track progress and also celebrate wins. So if you set your goals, you are able to measure at the end of the day if you've achieved it, if you are on progress towards achieving it, if you achieve it, and then also celebrate wins. And if you haven't achieved it, you are able to define what what went wrong, uh, that stopped you from achieving this goal, and how you can improve better. So it helps you to measure. And most importantly, it strengthens your decision making. So when you are faced with a number of choices, you can ask, does this bring me closer to my vision, to my purpose as a person? So if it doesn't, then you know that you can decide easily. So it provides a means through which you can easily make your decisions, because as a person there are so many choices you have to make as you go through life. But it's easier if you have a goal in terms of where you want to go. That way, even if you're faced with a lot of choices to make, you only choose or decide on things that brings you closer to achieving those goals that you have set out to achieve. And that is why we say a goal setting is very, very important. Yeah. So we have three different types of goals. We have the first one, which are the short term goals. And short term goals are very, they are quick, and they are shorter in terms of uh, how you would achieve it, like in terms of the duration. For instance, mainly between a day to up to a period of 1 year, that forms a short term goal. So anything that you set out to achieve that does not exceed a year becomes a short-term goals. And it focuses on immediate actions that helps you build momentum towards achieving your goals. I've provided some example in terms of like you set out that every month you would apply to five job openings, and then you could attend maybe five networking events. You would complete a training in something you get. As long as it doesn't exceed a year, then that becomes a short term goal. And then we have medium term goals. And medium term goals are, so most times they bridge the gap through things like that you cannot achieve within a year. So you put them under midterm goals because they provide quite a considerable duration for you to be able to achieve them. And they're mainly defined between 1 to 3 years, you get. And it is also a bridge between the short term actions and also the long term vision. And I've provided examples in terms of maybe completing a professional certification that you cannot normally do in less than a year. You put them there. Completing a study program in a particular field, you complete them in more than 2 years or so. All of those form medium term goals. And they are also avenue for you to reach your long term goals. Then we have the last one, of course, which are the long-term goals. And long-term goals usually goes from 3 years and above. Yeah. And they reflect your bigger vision for your life, for your career, and all that. And they, because they are for a long period of time, you have to break the achievement of these long term goals into the medium term and into the short term goals. So everything you put in your short term goal and everything you put in your medium term goals contribute towards achieving the long term goals. Because if you don't break it down in that way, it becomes very hard for you to achieve it. Also, it's important for you to remember that things change, circumstances change. So breaking down your action steps into small steps helps you to stay on track, because if you don't do that, a number of things will change in between that makes it impossible for you to achieve a goal that you've set out maybe 10 years later. So, for the long term goals, you break down action points into medium term and short term goals for you to be able to achieve your long term goals. So, so in terms of in terms of our the steps, when we are setting our goals, there are very key steps for us to follow on how we set goals, whether we are setting goals for the short term, for the medium term, or the long term. It's very important for us to follow this step. First of all, identify your vision or purpose. And as a person, you should be asking yourself, what do I really want to achieve? Yeah, as a person. And that becomes your vision or your purpose. If you look at most entities, including organization or companies, you usually see them having visions or mission statements and all that. That is the focus in terms of what they want to achieve. And that is the drive in terms of where they want to be, where they will see themselves in so many years from now on. So for you as a person, you also need to define what your purpose is, what your vision is. And defining that helps you to understand and align your goals with those with that vision and with that purpose. So the purpose or vision for the career may be different, for the personal life may also be different. That's why you were ticking boxes in terms of areas where you want to set goals. So when you are setting goals, you set goals at a personal level, maybe for your personal growth or for your family, but also you can set goals for your career and all that. So in terms of where you want to be in your career, that becomes your long term uh, goal or vision or purpose. Yeah. And then you also have actions you will take in between in the midterm and short term to get you to where you want to be. So it's very important that before you even set any goals, you should define your vision or your purpose. Then go further to define uh, the specific goals. Yeah, define the specific goals that you are going to set to help you get towards achieving your purpose. Make the goal very clear and precise and not vague. For instance, instead of saying, I want to be healthier, say something like, I want to exercise 30 minutes 5 days a week. You're making it very specific because at the end of the day, you have to measure your progress, you have to measure your success. Yeah. Then make the goals measurable, add timelines, add milestones to be able to track progress. If you don't have, if the goals are not measurable, at the end of the day, you can't tell if you've been able to achieve this particular goal. For instance, if you say you want to save this amount of money by the end of this period of time, that is measurable. So you will look back at the end of the period and say if you've actually been able to save this money. And if not, then what went wrong? What could you improve on? And all of those. You could be asking yourself those questions. So it's very important for you to check and ensure that when you are setting the goals, they should also be measurable. And then another thing is for you to ensure that the goals are achievable. Yeah. The goal you are setting for yourself should be realistic given your current resources, your current skills, and the circumstances you are in. Yeah. Don't set goals that are not achievable for you given the current situations you are in. Because if you set goals that are not achievable, then at the end of the day there'll be no level of accountability you get. And you will actually give up halfway there, yeah, and not want to push through to achieve the goals. You should stretch yourself, yes. Don't also put the goals too easy, you get. Stretch yourself so that you are able to work harder to achieve this goal. But avoid setting goals that set you up for failure, you get. So for instance, if you're setting a financial goal and maybe your only source of income is a job that pays you monthly, maybe say 50,000 SSP, you get. And then you say that at the end of the year, I would want to have saved from this salary $100,000, you get. It's close to impossible. You are setting yourself up for failure because you do know very well that given your current circumstances, yeah, and even if other factors remain constant, it's close to impossible for you to raise that amount of money by the end of the year. So stretch yourself, you get stretch yourself, but don't set goals that will set you up for failure. And then important to also remember that you should check your goals for relevance. Ask yourself if this goal connects back to your bigger vision or purpose. Ensure that whichever goal that you are setting is very relevant to help you achieve your vision or your purpose. This ensures that you are working on what truly matters and not just about or on everything. Yeah. So if there is no relevance, you just stop doing what you're doing. So check for relevance when you are setting up your goals. And then also in terms of setting time frame, ensure that every goal has a specific target date or a deadline. You don't just say I want to do this and you don't provide it a timeline. So if you are whatever goal that you are setting, ensure that you provide it a time frame in terms of a deadline so that you are able to work hard. And the deadline also reminds you that you know you've put a timeline for this and you must accomplish this within this period of time. So set timeframes for the goals and then break goals into action steps. So you should list small manageable tasks that will lead you to the bigger goal. Yeah. Don't put your goals very broadly because it will be very hard for you to achieve it. So break it down into manageable actions that you can actually take even daily. You get. So imagine you say you want to lose some 10 kg by the end of September. You get. That is a good one. But then you don't want to do anything every day. You simply just want to lose 10 kg by end of September. How are you going to do that? It's close to impossible for you to get there if you don't put actions that you're going to take every day. You could put daily activities like to take maybe this quantity of water every day, to do exercise maybe 3 times a week, maybe to go to the gym and all that. So those becomes the small manageable tasks that you're going to put for you to do every day to get you to losing the 10 kg that you want to lose by the end of September. So break down goals into action steps. And then also go further to anticipate barriers and then define the solutions. So we did mention that we work in a situation or an environment, we live in an environment where we are faced with a lot of challenges every day. So setting your goals is very important, but anticipate for things that would happen that will make it impossible or challenge you to achieve your goal. If you don't anticipate it, it will be very hard because when you anticipate it, then you are able to define how you will overcome it when it happens. You get. So if you don't anticipate it when they hit you, it will be very hard for you to make a comeback and achieve your goal. But if you anticipate them and write them down and then also go further to define solutions for them, then that way, even if the situation happens, then you have already prepared yourself for it. Then you are able to now move towards achieving your goals. However much the setback will be there, but you are able to maintain some level of focus towards achieving those goals. And then you should also track progress and review. So once you set your goals, ensure that you regularly check on your progress. Checking on your progress will ensure that you are actually keeping on track. You are able to make changes to things that are not working. We said that we are in an ever changing environment. So things change, circumstances change, people change. So it's important for you to review your progress and align with what is working. You remove whatever is not working. If you set out yourself to achieve goals, and then you define action steps you are taking to help you achieve this goal, you would review and see if these actions are actually helping you get there. If they are not, then you change your strategy, yeah, in terms of what you're going to do to improve the situation to help you achieve the goal. So it's very important for you to track progress and also help you to review where you are at. Are you halfway there towards your goal? Are you still very far? Then you can be able to define further strategies that you can use to achieve your goal. And then lastly is for you to celebrate milestones. We've seen from our survey that most people do not celebrate wins. And it's very important for you to celebrate wins because it helps you stay motivated. You get it's very key for you to reward yourself. If you are rewarding yourself for things that you've done so well, it helps to reinforce that habit you get. And then you feel more motivated to want to push harder, to want to go further. You get. So be in a position where you're able to celebrate milestone, celebrate your effort, and all of those. And that way, you do not lose focus. You are able to remain or stay motivated towards achieving your goals. And then, yes. Now, let's look at the goals framework. So, most times you hear people telling you your goals should be smart and all that. And you keep wondering and asking yourself, what does it mean to have a smart goal? What does it mean to set a smart goals? So, the SMART framework is mainly used um, to have uh, effective ways of setting goals that at the end of the day you are able to achieve. And the SMART stands for, the S is for specific. So your goals should be clear and well defined. It's very specific. So instead of saying, I want to improve my skills, you could say, I want to complete a digital marketing course. So if you are talking about improving your skill on a certain aspect, you'd rather mention that specific thing. That way it is very clear, you get. And somebody can say that this is what you intend to do, you get. So your goals should be very specific and also it should be measurable. Measurable so that you are able to track your progress. If it is not measurable, you cannot track your progress. Instead of saying, I want to apply for jobs this month, say, I want to apply to 10 jobs by the end of this month. You get. That way, you're able to tick and check. Did I really do the 10 jobs? What did I do? Was it one? Was it five? Was it the 10 over 10? You get. Make sure it is measurable, that at the end of the day, you are able to track your progress towards the goal that you've set. And then it should also be achievable, realistic. We said make sure that your goals are achievable considering your current circumstances in terms of the resources that you have, in terms of the time and the circumstances you are in, you get. And it's very important for you to always remember that when we talk about it being realistic or achievable, of course, It's good to stretch yourself in terms of putting something really hard to just ensure that you work very, very hard for you to achieve it. But it's not good to set up goals that you yourself know that you cannot achieve at the end of the day. So make sure that the goals that you are setting are achievable at the end of the day. Then also make sure that they are relevant. We said relevance means that they align with your greater purpose. And we said the first thing you needed to do when setting your goal is define your purpose. So the goals that you are setting should be those that align your uh, with your purpose or with your vision. So R means relevant. Make sure that your goals are relevant and help you achieve your better or bigger vision or your purpose. And then time bound. We talked about having deadlines when setting our goals. Very, very important for us to remember that without timeline, we are not able to track or measure. You get. So if you say, I just want to complete my master's degree someday, yeah, someday could be 10 years from now, could be 20 years from now, and all of those. So it is very hard for you to measure anything. It's very hard for you to actually achieve. It's very hard for you to stay focused. It's very hard for you to define action plans that you are going to use to help you achieve this goal. You get. So time bound means that I must have a master's degree by the end of 2025. You get. That is time bound 2025. Then I know that at the end of 2025, I must have attained my master's degree. So, whatever I'm doing, whether I have to enroll to the school, whether I have to complete this semesters, I have to do research work, I have all of this, I'll break them down into months, into quarters, and all that to ensure that by the end of that period that I've set out for myself, I should be able to have my master's degree program. So that is the meaning of uh, time bound, giving yourself deadlines and all that. So a key message for us to remember that is that a goal without a deadline is just a waste, and SMART makes your goals practical and doable. So it's always important for you to remember that through the SMART goal framework, you are able to make your goals practical and doable. Without the SMART framework, it will just be another one of those wishes, and it's very hard for you to walk through and achieve them at the end of the day. Okay. Then goal setting in career planning. So we looked at goal setting in general, and we want to look at goal setting in terms of our careers. All of us are in school, we've completed, and now we want to talk about career and have a direction in terms of how our professional journey should look like. So it's very important for you to remember that goal setting matters a lot in terms of your career as well, because first of all, it provides you the direction that you need in terms of your career. The goal acts like the compass for your career, and they show you where you are going in terms of your career. Without goals, you risk moving randomly from one job to another without growth. So there are people who are in jobs, you find them in the same jobs for even more than 15 years without any growth. Can be I've seen people in their documents or CVs who are project officer 5 years in one place, then move to another project officer role in another organization for another 5 years, again moves. You get, there is no focus, there is no clear direction on what they want to achieve in their career. They are simply moving randomly from one job to another, but there is no growth. And also, there are some people who have who are comfortable in terms of the education level. So, like if you don't have clear direction in terms of where you want to be in your career, you cannot define specific things you're going to do, like enrolling for further studies and all that, just to ensure that you are growing in your career. So, it's very important for us to remember that career planning also requires goal setting because it provides direction. Number two, it builds motivation and focus. It builds motivation and focus because once you set out your goals for your career, it helps you to push towards achieving those goals every day. It helps you to focus on what matters and avoid distractions. We are living in a place where there are a lot of distractions. So without which you are not able to remain focused. You get easily distracted with a lot of things. But if you have a clear path in terms of where you want to be in your career, then you are able to stay focused and avoid a lot of distractions. Again, it will help you to track progress in terms of your career. If you just completed school maybe 2024 and you already had a goal in terms of where you want to be in your career, then by 2025 already you should be looking at how far you've come towards wanting where you want to be. If you had finished 2024, maybe you needed to do maybe an internship for a whole year, which is 2025. Then are you in an internship program right now? Did you finish the internship program? What are you doing right now? You get. So that helps you to track your progress in terms of where you want to be in your career. Again, it strengthens your decision making. You get. Now, if you don't have focus in terms of your career, you would easily pick out any job that is out there and just do it, and not knowing that this job cannot help you achieve your career goals. I've seen people who are moving from one job to another, and these jobs are different jobs, yeah, and they don't align, yeah, they don't align. They just do one job here. Tomorrow, for instance, you find them doing a project officer role. Another day, they are maybe in an M&E role. Another day, they are in another role. So it's very hard for you to make important and crucial decisions that are key for your career if you don't have goals in terms of where you want to be in your career. But if you have clear goals in terms of where you want to be in your career, then it's very easy for you to say, oh, I can't take this job because it doesn't align. You get. I know it's very hard in our situations where we feel like we can't say no to jobs when they come, yeah. But if you have focus in terms of your career, it's very easy for you to know the kind of jobs you are looking for, where to find them, how to apply, how to get them, and all of those. It will be very hard. It will be very easy for you to make those kind of decisions. Yeah, and then again, it helps you to build confidence. So achieving small goals give you confidence to tackle the bigger ones. If you set out specific goals in the short term that you want to achieve, then you are able to build some level of confidence knowing that, oh yeah, I was able to do that. I think I can do this as well. Yeah. It gives you that morale. It gives you that positive vibe to want to push harder, to want to achieve even further, you know. And success is built step by step. It doesn't just fall and happen. Every small step counts and it matters towards you achieving your bigger goals.
Minimum the board the review also. Melo yaவது all the
Okay,
لا لا ما قال اني ما بعرف يعني انت بعرف ما الواحد بدي اقول يعني
please
هنا
mute
ما يقدر
yourself. Okay, so We have some key steps when we are talking about career planning. There are some steps that we have to take so that we are able to define our goals in terms of our career. And the first thing is self assessment. Uh, Through self assessment, we are able to identify our skills, identify our strengths, identify our values and passions. So, when you're doing a self assessment, you ask yourself questions like, what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What matters to me most? You get. So, this helps you to define um, your areas of strength clearly and then define your values because those are things that are important to you and all that. So, the first thing for you to do in terms of your career planning is to undertake a self assessment. Once you do the self assessment, you are able to now pick out career paths or choices that aligns well with your strength, with your skills, with your values, and as well as with your passion. The number two, you go further to explore career options. You get. Most times we are supposed to do this probably when we are still at school so that we are able to have the opportunity to even pick education or courses that already aligns with our strength, yeah. But sometimes we don't get the opportunity to do this, and we already finish the course, and when we come out we are fidgeting with everything. We don't like it, we don't like the job, it doesn't fit our interests. We are struggling to even stay consistent on the job and all of that, you get. But where you are in a situation where you completed a course in an area that you are really interested in, then now you explore career options that are available in that field. Research industries, research the role, research organizations, particularly those that align with your values. And of course, you are picking roles now that align with your skills and be able to define within this period where do you see yourself in terms of the career path. And then you also use networking and informational interviews and online research for you to explore some of the options in terms of career which are in line with what you have studied. And then also you go further to now set career milestones. So you break down your career goal into steps or stages. For instance, when you come out of school as fresh, you have to start by maybe being an intern. You get. Now from an intern you go to being an assistant, and then you become an officer, you become a manager and a director. So that is the kind of career milestones that you define when you're setting up your career path. Okay. Define what success looks like at each stage, you get, so that you are able to at the end of the day check yourself and see whether you are achieving that. And also because we talked about the smart goals, at each stage you are able to define within which period you want to be able to achieve these specific steps or stages. If you are to do an intensive role, how long do you want to do it? Where do you want to do it?
Farmaragan dug gumba gara, gumba gara.
Situation.
Switch gumba gara.
Please mute yourself. Okay. So if you want to be an assistant, then you defined how long you want to be an assistant, uh, which organization, which industry, and all of that. Same for an officer role, for a manager. That way, at the end of this period, you are able to define. And remember that there are a number of actions you will also take for you to be able to move to the other steps. For instance, if you're an assistant, maybe you already had a diploma, but for you to become an officer, now you need to maybe get a bachelor's degree and attend some trainings and all that, which you will define in terms of some manageable actions that you will take. That will help you now become an officer. Then for a manager, you go ahead to define the same. You get that is the meaning of defining what success looks like at each stage. And then you also go further to identify resources and networks. So you identify training programs. You can find some of these online. There are a number of trainings online that some are even free that you could start attending. You also go ahead to identify yourself a mentor or a coach, somebody that can be there with you and take you through. And you also go further to define or attend fellowships and all that that can help you to define or help you achieve the career goals that you've set out to achieve, and also joining professional associations within your career and all that that can help you to achieve your career goals. It's very important for you to know that building professional relationship with some key people in your field is very important. You could join alumni, you could join LinkedIn as a professional body and all that, where you can find some key people that you can easily build relationship with, because these are people that you can easily learn from and then be able to build your career as well. And then the last one in terms of the step you need to take is to ensure that there is continuous learning and adaptation. So careers evolve. So it's very important for you to be ready to learn new skills. Um, how, for instance, how a HR job looks like 10 years ago is not the same as how it looks like in 2025. So much have changed, and the same is for any other career. There are different things, new technology coming up, a lot of changes going on, to the extent that there are some skills that become obsolete. So for you, you don't remain stuck in one place. That me, I have a bachelor's degree and that's it. You get. You have to go further to learn new skill. Even the curriculums in school change. A person who got a bachelor's degree in HR like 10 years ago did not learn the same thing as somebody who got a bachelor's degree in 2024. In terms of the content of the course that are covered and everything, they are not the same. There are new trends in industries and all of those. So it's very important for you to remember that continuous learning is very key. And nobody grows without learning. Yeah. Nobody grows without learning. It's very important for you to remember that learning is the only way for you to grow. And learning does not necessarily mean formal education. Yeah, formal education where you have to enroll in a class and then do that. No, you could learn through peer education, through fellowships like this one, through mentorship, through coaching, through guidance from somebody, through reading. Yeah, self reading. You can learn by getting books and reading for yourself. Yeah, so it's very important for you to remember that continuous learning is very key. That way you are able to keep track in terms of what is happening in your industry, and also maintain some level of relevance, and also it gives you a competitive advantage over every other person who is competing also in the same industry. So, your career path is not a straight line, it is a journey with steps, turns, and growth opportunities. The secret is to keep moving forward with clarity, and you can only do that if you are continuously learning and adapting to changes that are happening throughout your career. Now, I have defined some common barriers to goal achievement and career growth. So, part of the audit that you did, and I mentioned at the beginning, was for you to anticipate some challenges or problems that could stop you from achieving these goals. And if you don't anticipate them, it will be very hard for you to manage it when they happen. Uh, so when you anticipate them, you are able to define ways of how to deal with it when they happen. It's possible they may not happen, but when they happen, you already know what to do about it. So there are a number of barriers that could happen that could stop you from achieving your goal. It could be in terms of your career or your personal goals. And one of them is lack of clarity. So, not knowing what you want leads to random decisions. If you don't know what you want, you could make a lot of wrong decisions. You get. So, I want to give you like a personal example. So, most times for me, like if I'm going to shop, like to the supermarket, if I did not go with a plan or a goal on what to buy, I will find myself buying a lot of things that I don't like, that I did not plan to buy, that I actually have in the house, but I end up buying them. Because you'll find a very good sales representative who will talk sweetly to you about things, convince you, you end up buying the things. But you don't even need it, you get. So that is some lack of clarity. If I'd gone there knowing I needed to buy one, two, three things and probably spent this amount of money, that's it, you get. I'll be sure what I want and I will not be buying random things that I do not want. So, in terms of our personal and career growth, it's very important for us to be clear on what we want. Yeah. If we are not clear on what we want, we will end up making a lot of decisions that at the end of the day will affect how we will achieve our goals. So always define your goals clearly using the SMART framework. Then number two barrier is fear and self-doubt. I've seen there in our audit where a number of us have picked I think we are we are unsure, like we are doubting ourselves. There's not that self belief that we can do this, you get. So if you're always thinking that you're not good enough, or like what will people say, or what if I fail and all that, you get, you are in a state of fear and self-doubt, which is very dangerous. Because when you find yourself constantly in that situation, it's very bad. Because when you're doubting yourself, nothing good comes out of it. You have to be very confident and be sure of what you want and how you're going to get there. When you find yourself in self-doubt, always ask yourself, ask somebody else also to give you some level of clarity. If you have a mentor and all that, you can ask them for clarity. But whenever you find yourself in fear, ask yourself, does this lead me to achieving my goals? You get. If it doesn't, then just forget about it. You get. Focus on progress, that you've come this far and you can do the rest of the journey. Don't focus on getting it perfectly. You get. Do not focus on perfection, but focus on progress, that you've been able to take one, two, three steps and you can finish the rest of the steps to the finish line. So it's very important for you to overcome fear and self doubt. Build confidence in everything that you are doing, in the goals that you've set yourself to achieve. Also, it is very key for a positive mindset. You get, when you are somebody who is positive, you have a higher chances of achieving your goals, because you have that mindset that yes, I can do this, I can do this, I can do that. But if you are afraid and always in the doubt, and you are like a pessimist, always doubting, you know, filling your heads with a lot of negative thoughts, it's very hard for you to progress in anything. Yeah. And then another barrier for so many people is poor time management. So, if a lot of times we find ourselves spending a lot of times on things that do not contribute to our goals, that do not add value to us, you know. But yeah, we are there. We are spending time. For instance, like if you set your goals to like do an online course that you want to do because you're working, you want to do it every weekend. That 3 hours I must do my online studies. But every time that time comes, you choose to maybe go sit around with your friends and or watch soccer on Manu and stuff like that. It is it is good, but does not add value to you. It does not help you to um, work towards achieving your goal. It is some form of distraction. It is making you spend time, obviously, which you cannot recover, but does not lead you towards achieving your growth. So, if you are a very poor time manager, it is very easy for you to be distracted and not achieve your goal. So, if you set goals and put a deadline that, I need to do this by the end of this week. And then midway the week, you have not yet even started. And the deadline comes, you push it forward that I will do it now next week or another week or another week. You procrastinate in terms of the deadline. It is very dangerous. So these are habits that you can easily avoid. Use planners, use calendars, you set daily priorities in terms of how your day should play out and all of those. That way, you are able to manage your time appropriately. Then another barrier for so many of us is limited networks, myself included. If you don't have an extended network, it is very hard for you to grow. These days, um, there are a lot of opportunities that come through people that you know. Look at the your skills, uh, your skill boost group, yeah, where there are a lot of opportunities that are being shared. Look at the opportunities that are being shared through other friends to you. You get, they are very very important. You get, so if you have a limited network, please ensure that you are working towards building your network. And you could attend events, join volunteer works, programs, uh, join social media. You could find yourself now building a broader and bigger network for yourself, because opportunities come in so many ways through our networks that we would not be getting if we don't have the network. And then another barrier is in terms of resources. Yes, that's true. For most of us, limitation in skills, money, and training, and all of those sometimes affect the goals that we want to achieve for ourselves. You get, but it is also a reason enough for us not to want to achieve. It's very important for us to start with what we have, then gradually build through. So always ensure that whereas the resources that you have are limited, start with the small, start with what you have and build it gradually and move forward. Then another barrier is in terms of giving up too early. I can tell you honestly that in the past, I used to be somebody that gives up on things very fast. One of my weaknesses was that I give up fast on things. Like if I feel that something is not working, instead of maybe waiting, holding on, or fighting for it and all that, I just give up on it. You get, and I found myself like, if I had stayed longer, yeah, I would have made it through. You get, but through through mentorship, through reading materials, through support from some people, have been able to overcome that. You get, so if you're somebody who gives up very fast on things, you will not be able to achieve a lot, because growth, success, and all that requires a lot of resilience, requires a lot of persistency and consistency. You cannot do the same things the same way and want to see results. It's not possible. You have to do, you have to remain very consistent. You have to remain persistent despite the challenges that will come, despite whatever life will throw at you. You would always ensure that you remain focused and not give up. You get. So that makes up the last barrier that is very common for most of us. Now, a key message I've written here is that barriers are real, but they are not the end. With planning, with persistence and support, you can overcome them. Yes. So, some practical tools for us, yeah. And personally, I've used a number of these tools myself that can help us to achieve our goals. And the first one is journaling. Yeah, journaling is a common practice. When we write down our goals, we are able to track progress. Yeah, we are able to track progress and reflection. We also able to define what we want to achieve in terms of our goals. For example, at the end of each day, I do my journaling at the end of each day, and I've seen where some people have written that they mostly don't write down uh, their goals. You get, but journaling is very important because when you write down your goals, you are able to follow it through. But if you just keep it in your head, you could easily forget it. So it's very important for you to write it down. So you write down your goals, you write down how you're going to measure it, you write down reflections and all that. And at the end of the day, you are able to look back and go through and see what progress you've made. Were you able to achieve this? What actions do you have to take differently that can help you now achieve your goals? Then also vision boards. So vision board are visual collections of your goals and your dreams. You can have them pinned somewhere on your phone, on your screensaver, and all that, just to remind you that this is what you want to achieve. You get. So there are visualization. For instance, if your vision maybe it's like you have your dream car or a dream house and all of those, you put them in form of images, um, and collect them all together and put them in a document which you will call your vision board. It helps you to track your progress in terms of what you want to achieve. I will show you an example of my vision board and how it looks like if I can be able to get it. It's very important. It keeps your long-term visions alive. It keeps you motivated. Them every time you look at it, you feel motivated because you know that this is what I want to achieve. This is where I want to get to, and all of those. So you can also use vision boards, and then goal tracking apps and planners. There are a number of apps that you can use on your phone and your computers to help you track your goals, and also some planners that you can use for setting reminders or for deadlines, and all that. And then accountability partners. So accountability partner is somebody that you've trusted, that you can share your goals or your dreams or your aspirations with, and they can help you check on your progress. For instance, you can tell somebody that they should be somebody you trust, and they should also be somebody who, like, a very honest person who will give you feedback on how you are doing in terms of your goals. And they should also be people who are aligned and want to see you achieve these goals, not people who don't understand your vision. There are people, when you tell them, okay, like, I want to achieve this, they even tell you that's impossible, just forget about it. You get. They are not pessimists, they are very optimistic people who can tell you, yes, I'm here to support you, and they walk the journey with you. Those are people that you can call your accountability partners. You can find such people, they can help you track your progress in terms of your goals. And mentorship and coaching, we've gone over this, is part of what we're doing now, where you have a mentor or a coach, somebody you learn you what you can do to achieve your goals and all that. Yeah. So mentorship and coaching is also a tool that we can use. And then lastly, and most importantly, continuous learning. Continuous learning is a tool in itself because it is the only way you are able to keep on track and build yourself in terms of your career and also for personal growth. You can do online courses, you can attend workshops, read books, podcasts, which is from 0 to 1 year. So the first thing they need to do is to secure an internship opportunity with an NGO. They also need to build fundamental skills in report writing, in field data collection, in teamwork, in leadership, and all of those. So build fundamental skills, that's very key. Then they also need to network with peers and superiors along the area of program management. Yeah. Then, in terms of their medium term goals, that is 1 to 3 years, they should progress to a program officer role, gain experience in project implementation and community engagement. They can also go further to enroll in a master's program or a relevant certification in project management and all that. These are some of the goals that can go here in terms of the medium term goals. Then, in terms of the long term goals for this fresh graduate, 3 to 7 years, they transition into a senior program officer or a coordinator role where they are able to now lead teams, they're able to manage budgets, represent the organization in stakeholder meetings, strengthen leadership, develop skills in proposal writing, secure grants, and all of those. Okay. Those falls under the long-term goals. Now, by the end of this period, this fresh graduate is able to confidently apply for roles that are for a program manager within the NGO sector, which is now step 4. So you are confident enough, you have all the skills that you want, you have the related experiences, you have everything that you need to become a program manager. So that is how a typical career goal setting or path looks like for a fresh graduate who wants to become an NGO program manager. So this is something similar that you can do for yourself if you already don't have, where you're able to define goals in terms of what you will do now versus what or where you see yourself in several years from now. And key lesson is that every big role is a journey of small steps. You are able to be an intern today and a manager tomorrow if you stay consistent with your goals and plan your path very well. So, I have some key messages for you. Your goals are the seeds of your future. If you plant them with intention and water them with action, they will grow into success. A career path is not built overnight. It is a journey of small, consistent steps. Don't be afraid to start small. Even internships, volunteer work, and short courses are stepping stones to your dream role. Clarity creates confidence. The clearer your goals, the stronger your direction. And Many successful people started where you are today, very uncertain but willing to take the first steps. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not luck, but persistence and planning. You are already ahead because you're here, investing in yourself through this leadership. Yeah. So that's everything I had to cover today. It's exactly 3:30, and I'll stop sharing my screen. We'll go back to Binda if you have something else you want to add before we do some Q&A.
Thank you so much for the presentation. Yes, so that is very elaborate, and thank you so much, Brenda, for the detailed explanation and having taken all of us through the explanations of how we can plan our careers very well and how we can pave a very positive roadmap for ourselves. So I will comment later then. For now, I would like to take questions. Let's take questions from the participants. If I see today the chat is empty, there are no questions, but then you can unmute and speak. And please, if you're in a noisy place, don't unmute and speak. You only unmute if you are in a quiet place, and then you can ask your question. If you're in a noisy place, just leave your question through the chat box. That is very important. Otherwise, everything has been pretty much covered through the session, and we thank you so much, Brenda, for having put that together. Thank you. Questions, ladies and gentlemen. So also, as we go for the questions, I will share the attendance in the chat box, and for those ones who are following on YouTube, I will put the attendance on the live chat of the of of the YouTube live stream, and then you should be able to see here. So here is the attendance link on the chat, and if you are following on YouTube, I have pinned the on the live chat. So just click on that, and you should be able to attend. You should be able to register your attendance for today. Yes. Otherwise, it's very important for us to plan. English says failing to plan is planning to fail. So I don't think anyone wants to fail. So all of us want to succeed. And for us to succeed, we should be able to plan. Questions, ladies and gentlemen. And while you ask your questions, feel free to fill in the attendance register for today and provide your feedback. No one wants to ask questions today?
Or everything was so clear to the extent that everybody has nothing to say, or we just know this topic and there wasn't any need to be covered. I don't know.
So in the clarifications, mine is other questions. I don't know career guidance and career planning. So maybe for instance, if somebody is still in secondary school or let's say primary school, I think is it the right stage where somebody can maybe a career can have a career guidance, or maybe it should be at least from secondary schools or going to university where somebody maybe can get a guidance on how to become in the future. Uh, so I don't know. You can just give me more clarification on that.
Dita, I didn't hear the question. I only heard something about career guidance. I don't know.
Yeah, he's asking whether there's a place he can go to, just in case someone in secondary or primary school needs career guidance.
Oh,
I mean the level. Where can you start maybe a guidance and chasing your dreams from
oh,
primary
when,
level
at what
or secondary
level do
level?
you start career guidance? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Instead of dreaming your maybe you need a guidance for instance, where you can be inspired by somebody or something
Um,
like that. At
I
which
think there
level?
is no defined time frame in terms of when you should start career guidance, but I think the earlier the better. Mostly, I'd say as soon as you join secondary school, you should already be knowing where you want to go in terms of your career. But from primary school, of course, things are still unclear, you are unsure, and all that. Of course, there are people who, even at primary, already know what they want, and they are already getting support from their family, friends, to be able to achieve those goals. But from secondary school, already you should be clear in terms of what you want to achieve in your career. So I know a number of schools have career guidance sessions. South Sudan's case is very peculiar. I have no information, but I know there are schools that do career guidance sessions, and those are the ones that students should take advantage of. And of course, if you don't have, we talked about getting a mentor or a coach. For us, we wait until it's too late. I don't know how many of us who are in this class today have mentors and coaches in our life. You get. So we wait until like it's late for us to get people like accountability partners or mentors or coaches in our life. So, as early as secondary school, you should already have somebody who can provide you guidance in terms of how you can build a successful career.
Yes, Brenda. Brenda.
Yes, Callisto.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. It's not actually that some of us are not interested in career guidance.
You're
But
breaking. I can't hear you if you're talking.
the email in the morning, it reminded me of something I said in 2021 that in a 4 years period, I would have a number of cows bought. And as we speak, I don't have a goat. So you find that you can set goals, but follow up becomes a problem. You can get something that would make you to achieve your goal, but then something comes up, you did not something that you did not plan for comes up, and then it takes your attention. Or if it is money, the money goes for it. Like what you were saying, you gave a very good example that you know when you go to the market, you plan of what to buy. You have a list of the item. Whatever comes your eyes, you let it go until next time. So this is something that we really face. The question I would like to ask from you is on the point of rewarding yourself. You have set a goal, it is achieved, you reward yourself. This reward yourself, is it like, thanking yourself, or how do you really reward yourself? Then the other question is, if you have failed, to achieve your goal, is there a way that you also try like to punish
You
yourself
punish yourself.
for failing? Thank you.
So, about the goal that you set for owning cows, I think it was not a smart goal, yeah? So, if you tell yourself that in 4 years I want to own 10 cows, it is not a smart goal. What you should have said was, in 10 years, I should have 10 cows, and in each year, this is what I'm going to do to ensure that by the end of 4 years, I have 10 cows. You get. That way, you are clear on what you're doing. Because trust me, you will not have enough money at once to buy 10 cows. But if you say maybe you will start by owning goats and then you will later sell the goats and then buy cows or something like that. So make sure your goals are smart, just for the sake of that, to ensure that you are able to track your progress. And again, when we say you should reward yourself, it's about acknowledging your effort just so you are able to maintain your level of motivation. You are able to reinforce the good habits that you are having. You get, and thanking yourself is very important. And there are so many ways you can reward yourself, and you can take yourself for a meal. You have your favorite meal, you go out for a coffee, you you just take a break even for a whole day, like, oh, I did so well that today I don't want to do anything else. I just want to rest off. That's just a reward. Or today I want to spend with time with my family, maybe my kids, my wife, husband. That's another reward you can give yourself. Yeah. Or just even telling yourself, oh, well done, you get, like, to your own self. That's reward enough, because then it helps you maintain that level of motivation. You can even buy yourself a gift. Other people reward themselves by buying themselves gifts, phones, cars, clothes, whatever. As long as it's within your means, you're free to reward yourself however way you seem fit. And in terms of punishing yourself if you fail, I don't know if there's anybody who would want to punish themselves when they fail. Yeah. But it's important for you to remember that it is not good for you to keep up with the goals that you've set out to yourself. Yeah. So to look back and see the progress you've made, it's very key. So reflect. So don't panic. Ask yourself what went wrong. What can I learn? You get. So if you didn't achieve the goal, ask yourself what went wrong. Why didn't I achieve this goal? And what can you learn from that situation? Encourage yourself. Tell yourself, I don't want this to repeat itself, so I will try again differently. So you try to do it differently to see change, because like you said, you can't expect to do things the same way and expect to see results. You get, sometimes the doing the same thing same way year in year out, day in day out, does not give you the results. So you have to change at some point. And reframe from failure. Failure isn't the opposite of success, it's a step towards it. Every successful person has failed at some point, but they used it as a feedback. So when you say you've succeeded or you've failed, as much as in English the other is the opposite, but normally failure is used to provide ourselves with feedback. You get. So it's not directly opposite in terms of action towards success. And reward your effort, not just the results. Even if the goal wasn't achieved, acknowledge the steps you have already taken that got you to a certain point, particularly when you took some actions. So if you set out to achieve something, but you did not achieve the entire result, but you achieved portions or parts of the results you wanted to see, yeah, be grateful and be thankful that you've made it that far. Then use that as feedback and learn from it to improve better. I hope that answers my question. Don't cane yourself that you failed.
Sure, you answered. You answered.
Yeah, thank you.
Good, good evening.
Good evening, Guamajok.
You really pronounce my name the same way as I used to pronounce it. Many
Ah,
people try to, and it's very simple name.
nice.
So today is one of the life-changing sessions. It can be applicable in any field, anytime, anywhere. That's why there are no lot of questions
Mm-hmm.
was given. So based on the quiz that was given before or the lecture you did, it's like I'm matching most of them in my other. But two things that I fail to maybe Uh, Experiment was accountability partner, then setting a time bond.
Mm.
So I used to set goals sometimes, but I don't put deadline for them. I just know them that I will do this, and they are priority. Anytime I get something, I have to make sure that I will do those. And again, for accountability partner, sometimes I need it in some book. For example, like this book called "Create Your Own Future." It's encouraging people a lot. Whatever you're saying is there, but the difference is that yours was like a live session, and that one is just a book. So accountability partner, sometimes according to situation, maybe we the youth are in, it's very hard to trust someone maybe to share all your maybe plan and all this with them because most people are discouraging. If they see you progressing, they feel jealous, and sometimes they cannot even work with you. What can we do to maybe improve this area of accountability partner and maybe certain time bond or time frame for the goal uh, that you set, but you did not specify the deadline. So, rewarding myself, sometimes I use it. Even recently, I did it like 2 weeks ago. I set something to do, then after doing it, I reward myself with coffee after hard work. Then I say, instead for me, just to say that let me not waste time to go and sit there. Let me just use this time as rewarding time for myself. I think I might done one now. So this is what you need to clarify to me, a contributing partner, and then time bond or time frame. Thank you.
Mm. So we'll start off with the time bound. So when you're setting your goals and you are not using the SMART framework, and particularly on the time frame, it's very hard for you to track anything. It's very hard for you to work towards achieving it because you will feel like you still have a lot of time to achieve it. You get. And it's very hard for you to know if this would help you achieve your bigger goals or a vision or purpose. So if you are able to know clearly this is what I want to achieve in terms of my vision, then you should set goals that will help you get there. And these goals should be achieved within specific period of time. Because if you don't put the timeline, you will drag it and you will fail to achieve it at the end of the day. So setting time frame helps you to be able to track things. If you are moving towards the deadline, what have you done so far? How much time do you have before the deadline you get? It will help you to track. For instance, for these classes, if we do not put timeline for submitting the assignment, trust me, even some of us we would not have submitted the first assignments by now. You get. But now, by the fact that we provide timeline, you see, we are the fellows are able to submit their assignment at least. I've seen a number of people coming in to submit assignment on the deadline you get on the deadline. Yeah. But it shouldn't be so. When you have a deadline in terms of your assignment, what you should be doing is that you know your goal is to submit your assignment by 5th of September, which is next Friday. So, what you have to do right now is to define how you're going to complete and submit your assignment by the deadline. We can look at, for instance, saying every day for 10 minutes, I will do my assignment. You just go on your computer or your phone, you do a 10 minutes entry, and then you finish. And then you close, you go to do something else. To the second day, same thing, until you ensure that you complete the assignment ready to be submitted. When you're done, you submit. But if we don't give you that deadline, You will take your own time. You will feel like you have a lot of time, or I can even submit it next month, and and that affects a progress. Because how would we know what you've learned? How would we know the progress you've made? How would we know if you are actually learning or benefiting from this session? You get. So setting timeline is very important so that it help us track and finish something and also close it. You get. If we don't put a deadline, uh, you will just be there thinking that you want to achieve this, but we are not ending it. It will just remain there. You get. So it will help us to also finish something and close with it and move to other things because we have a lot of goals to achieve at the end of the day. So always ensure that you set clear goals for yourself to achieve in terms of timelines as well. Now, in terms of the accountability partners, yes, it's very hard. Yeah, very, very hard to find people that you can easily trust. Um, but there are a few things that can work for you. Um, if you have one or two trusted people, of course, you can work with them, and they could be close friends, they could be colleagues, yeah, and you can just agree with them on weekly meetups. For instance, you can say every week, 20 minutes on WhatsApp. Let's have a quick goal to review the progress that I've made. You get something like that. Or you can join some communities with share interests. I'm not sure if South Sudan offers this kind of groups where there are people who are already growth focused and they can be able to support you get in terms of your growth and shared interests. But this kind of communities or groups needs to be those ones who are aligned with your interests. Could be on LinkedIn professional groups, maybe Facebook learning communities, maybe WhatsApp or Telegram groups, yeah, and some local clubs. And also like the Build Your Best Self Fellowship now. This is another group where you can pick one person to be your accountability partner. You've seen how the magic is working on the group when you guys were working on your assignments, when you're creating your Google documents and all that. You've seen how the team was able to step in to respond to your questions and all that you get. That is some kind of communities that you can join and pick some accountability partners from. But make sure that you have shared interest with them. And then you can also um, explore mentorships and coaching instead of picking an accountability partner. You can explore mentorship and coaching. Some mentorship are paid, others are, some people, mostly they are paid. It's very rare to find people who offer mentorship and coaching that are not paid. Yeah, so you can explore that as well. You can also be your own self accountability partner in case you don't find anybody. Yeah, so use journals, use the tools that are there, write daily progress. And all that. You can just be your own accountability partner, but that one requires a lot of self discipline. If you're not disciplined, you'll not do anything. So make sure you are very disciplined, very consistent, and then follow through with whatever you've set out to achieve. Yeah, and then you don't need to look for somebody else to be your accountability partner. Yeah, I think that's everything. Any other
Thank you so
person?
much.
Any question?
Thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
the really great. I think I will have
Hello,
to
Brenda.
start it all the way from this fellowship, like implementing this 30 minutes of doing assignment every day. I think from today onward, we'll have to set that goal and then follow it. Maybe we'll change the rest. So the time frame is, yeah, and then for accountability partner, I'll have to make sure that I will maybe look at someone that I trust, continue with it, maybe until I see that change. Thank you so much.
Welcome, welcome.
Yes, and I have the last question.
Mrs. Um,
Yes, Yeah, in the quiz actually there was one question that was asking about, was it something to do with, in which most of us responded that they have too many things to do. You can have a lot of programs, Brenda. Like, let me talk of my own self.
Hello. Yeah,
I,
Can you mute yourself? Oh, okay.
oh, okay. Yeah, let me talk of my own self. In my final year currently. I go to school every day, Monday to Saturday. I have this fellowship program. I'm doing another program with Next App. And then I'm also a research assistant somewhere. These are four things. Uh, from Monday to Sunday. So sometimes, and some of this, almost all of them have uh, to go on this fellowship. It does not take a lot of time. But when you are given an assignment to do, of course, you will find yourself taking considerable amount of time. Yes, you will have to access reliable internet, also take time to look at every single thing in detail. So it becomes very hard for you you will begin to have self-doubt actually, that will I really be able to achieve this and that, all of them at one go. So this is where self-doubt becomes when you have too many things to do, you begin to doubt yourself whether you achieve all of them. I don't know if you can have, a say on this, some kind of guidance on how to go about things when, uh, you have conflicting things at end and all are important to achieve.
Okay. I'm also one person who is having a lot of things to do. That's why I was telling Vida before the start of the session that I didn't get time to rest because, like, I was juggling with so many things at the same time and ensuring that I deliver at least on all of them at the end of the day. So it's true, it happens, and all those activities, whatever we find ourselves doing, are things that are very important. It is only clear for people who are spending a lot of time on things that are not productive. So if you are spending time on things that are not productive, it's very easy for you. You stop spending a lot of time on unproductive things that don't help you achieve your goal. It's very easy. But if you are in a situation where every other activity that is taking your time is very, very important, then it becomes a little bit tricky for you to allocate your time effectively. And this is not just about time management, but it's also about energy management. Yeah, you can fill your calendar with activities, but if your energy is stretched thin, everything feels heavy and then it starts weighing on you, and then at the end of the day you may not be able to achieve a lot. So some practical tips that could work are things like prioritization. Yeah, not everything needs the same level of energy all the time. Yeah, so you ask yourself what deserves maybe 70% of my energy this time, this day, this week. You can prioritize those ones, and then just focus your energy on that, and then now leave for later the things that you can put off. And prioritization can also be in terms of what is important for you. So some things are very urgent, very important, that if you don't do it, it has an implication. You get. So you have to prioritize based on what is important and urgent. So if it is important but not urgent, you keep it for later. You get back to it. But if it is urgent and important, then you have to ensure that it is done now. That way, you do not have implications for missing it. And we talked about using journaling. If you're somebody who can easily forget, please ensure that you are writing down everything. That way, you are able to review at the end of the day. These are things I was supposed to achieve by the end of today. Did I finish all of them? You get. So if you don't write it down, you stand a chance of forgetting most times. And then you can also batch up your work. You get, instead of spreading them out randomly, set dedicated blocks of time. For instance, you can say every Saturday, okay, every weekend, I have to do this fellowship from this time to this time, and every these days, I have to do this from this time to this time. You get. So if you batch up everything, it becomes very easy so that when that time comes, you simply close this and go to do the other work because it is very clear in terms of your batch that this is what you're supposed to do in terms of this. And then also provide micro deadlines. You break the assignments into smaller pieces, and when you're doing it, it becomes very easy for you to accomplish them. So set out micro deadlines as well. If the fellowship says submit by 5th, make sure you set yourself another deadline. For if you have two assignments, maybe assignment one, I have to complete it by Monday. Assignment two, I have to complete it by Tuesday, so that I have Thursday to submit it. In case things don't go well, I have back and forth on the submission. So you set yourself micro deadlines to ensure that you break up the assignments into smaller pieces that you can easily manage. And then don't forget to rest. Sometimes we all forget to rest, but it's good to allocate time within the day or week that, yeah, you can find yourself time to rest. It's a very productive tool, rest, because even a few hours of intentional downtime can help you recharge. You don't have to always be on energy, energy, energy. To rest is very important. Some of us, even like I'm talking to you, but I don't get a lot of rest myself. But it's very good for you to rest. You get that way, you are able to re-energize yourself and pick up on things with a new energy and be able to productively deliver on your goals. I hope yeah, that's basically everything I can say.